Welcome to STARCAST from Planet Waves. My name is Eric Francis Coppolino, counseling astrologer, Chiron specialist, and personal consultant, here with a new edition of STARCAST for Monday, the 28th of August, 2023. This edition is focused on the chart for the Pisces full moon. That is on Wednesday the 30th. The chart is presented below. It's my feeling that this is a very important time to be using astrology for personal healing and spiritual orientation. We live in rather disembodied, outwardly focused times, and astrology is an excellent tool to regain your inner sense of who you are and to get some grounding back into your consciousness, your mind, your body. The full moon is often an unpredictably, but highly predictable, because we know what's going to happen, intense time for people. Lots of folks like EMTs and police officers don't believe in astrology, but they believe in the full moon because so many times they've seen they have really strange days at work when the full moon, around when the time the full moon is happening. This full moon takes place in the sign Pisces, and it is conjunct the asteroid Karma. Pisces is in itself a karmic influence in astrology, meaning that all the results of things wind up manifesting, flowing toward the delta of Venus, Pisces. So that effect is ramped up quite a bit with the asteroid Karma right there, and the moon will also be in a conjunction with Saturn at that time. In addition, there is another factor that very few astrologers use these days. It's called trans-Pluto, and this creates a sense of a narrow opening, as if there is only one way through or one option. And in the background of everything I'm going to say for the next few minutes is my suggestion that you look for other options. In other words, that you not fall for the idea at any time that you have only one choice, and recognize, for example, that you have the option to do nothing and quite possibly a good few other options if you take the time and a little bit of creativity to access them, to see what they are and define them, and allow yourself the privilege of considering that these are actual viable and valid paths that you might take. And this way you'll know that you're choosing from among options rather than being herded into any one potential or one possibility. Here, under full digital conditions, which include problems like disorientation, being out of body, which is going to be experienced as a form of mental disorientation, right? You can do all the downward facing dogs you want. It doesn't mean that you're in body. You're in body when you have access to your senses, your ability to choose, and your rational faculties, as well as your intuitive faculties. So we get a lot of preaching and teaching that everything has got to be one way or the other these days. Everything is black and white. You're either that or you're that. Of course, this is just simply not the way consciousness works or the way that life flows. In the background of the full moon is the process of Venus stationing direct. Now, Venus has been retrograde. That's one fact that I did not write down, a fact about the past. Venus went retrograde on July 22nd. Venus is retrograde the least of all the planets, the fewest days of all the planets, about 8% of the time. Mars is retrograde a little over 9% of the time. Mercury, for example, is retrograde about 23% of the time. So Venus retrograde is quite rare, and it is not especially easy, but it is certainly meaningful. And it is meaningful because I think it's necessary to look back on our past emotional choices and our past values-oriented choices, big decisions that we make, and conduct a review. In the spirit of A Course in Miracles, the workbook, this is mainly structured in 3 weeks of new lessons, and then 10 days of review, and then 3 weeks of new lessons, and then 10 days of review. And whether you're talking about A Course in Miracles or studying music or studying poetry, or for that matter, calculus, learning is usually attained in the form of repetition, review, understanding the nature of mistakes, and then making the choice to do things differently. And so there's not really the option to do things differently unless you understand how it is that you did them the first time or for many times in the past. We do a lot of making the same mistakes over and over again. So Venus retrograde is a very important review phase. Venus is currently in the degree where it will station direct. That's 12 and a half, properly said, the 13th degree of Leo. And it is making a rather close aspect pattern to several other points. Some of them are asteroids, and some of them are planets. I work with both, in addition to centaurs, which are really neither asteroids nor planets. But the aspect pattern of Venus stationing direct, remember, this is happening now because Venus is slowed down to just a couple of arc minutes of movement a day. So we have Venus moving at about the speed of Pluto right now. And in astrology, things gain power the more slowly they move. Usually this is about distance from the Earth-Sun, in the case of Pluto, for example. But there are other times when things move slowly, and that is when they are stationing retrograde or direct. And so there's a kind of a weather pattern described, and that is at 12 degrees plus, rather said properly, 13 degrees of Scorpio, and it is there's a new point called Mbamba, which is a fertility goddess from the Zulu people. Maybe I'm confusing that with thunder and rain somewhere else. But then we get Iris in the same pattern. So the fertility goddess is in a conjunction with Iris. And I'm seeing Iris is the arc of Iris, or arc Iris, the goddess of the rainbow, a kind of a female messenger, as opposed to Mercury, Hermes, who's a hermaphrodite messenger and god of commerce and trade, who also shows up in one of the aspect patterns that's going on at the time. But anyway, This Iris Mabamba is then square Eros. Eros is in Aquarius. And so there is a caution here about intellectualizing all things that relate to sexuality and that also relate to reproduction. Pretty much in the digital age, we can be sure that everything is going to be intellectualized first and stripped of its creative content and its emotional value and seen strictly as a concept that is not subjected to other forms of sensory and intuitive verification. And it's why so many things that are simply not true are so lavishly accepted and believed as true today. And so it is also so that one of the themes of this chart is the power of belief. And the power of belief is the power to make real that which is not real. And so the power of belief can work quite well if you're running the marathon and you've never done it before, and you keep telling yourself that you believe in yourself, and you take the mental and emotional action of believing. And then you finish the marathon and you say, I believed in myself. I did that. So that's making real something that was not previously real, for example. And then things that are not real, but also that are perfectly outrageous and not true and not subject to your personal effort, right? Not subject to your commitment to actualize them, also can be accepted as real when they are not. And this can be a real problem. And one of the cautions in this chart is the idea that anyone's, not necessarily yours, this won't affect everyone, but it's let's say in the Rita, it is there and available that one's personal emotional overreaction is then further grounds for some form of revenge or retaliation. And so the rationalization for the revenge is based on a personal overreaction that is then taken as being true and then reified, validated by the act of getting some form of revenge. And even people who are otherwise kind can be vengeful in times when they are, being reactive, when they're emotionally triggered. And so this is a moment to watch all of this very, very carefully. This theme comes up all throughout the chart. For example, there's a centaur planet named Nessus that many of you are familiar with. It's the third discovered centaur, discovered in 1993. First came Chiron in 1977. Then there was a delay till 1992. And then came Pholus, the small cause, and the big effect itself, very active right now. Then came Nessus. And Nessus is about the cycle of karma. It's about the cycle of one cause leading to an effect, leading to a new cause, and the thing travels in a long ellipse and then can return to basically take a kind of action on the person who initiated the entire cycle. All week long, Mercury is going to be opposite Nessus. So for this and many other reasons, we are being encouraged by the cosmic order, being prompted, being reminded, at least the way that I read my completely unique charts. I'm sure you've never seen an astrological chart like the ones that I publish. The source data is all available. I'm just assembling it in my way and interpreting it in my way. But this is saying this is time to intervene in the cycle of whatever it might be. Nessus is often about the cycle of abuse in some way, with a real conversation about that. All right, that is most of what I have to say to you. I may be back with another STARCAST later in the week or on Thursday at the time that we publish the horoscope and my weekly newsletter for my paying subscribers. I'm also planning a new edition of Journey Without Distance. That is my new Course in Miracles themed short form podcast. As you may know, I am an astrological consultant. I've done this for many years. I know that I am known mostly as an astrology news writer and investigative reporter, but I do my best to not only take care of my own spiritual house, but to set aside one room where people may come seeking assistance, mentorship, health, guidance, and that includes further guidance on where to go for the things that I cannot help with personally, but I may be able to refer you on forward. I think that I am at my best when a situation is at its worst, so I can handle anything from radical life changes associated with a relationship, midlife and late life career changes are one of my specialties. Trying to understand one of your children, or sorting out some kind of a complex legal or other, mundane entanglement in some way. So please do not hesitate to reach out. Contact me directly at efc@planetwaves.net. I will reply promptly. That means within a few hours. And so if I don't reply, I didn't see it, just send it again, tap a little harder, and get my attention. Thank you for being a subscriber to Planet Waves, and for making sure that this healing project that I've been stewarding over now, it'll be 25 years come December, is ready, well supplied, and available to those who need us and who need me. All right. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Have an awesome week. I love you dearly. Bye for now.